Please take your seats. The meeting is about to begin. Remember to speak into the microphone, as this meeting is being recorded for public record. Please stand by. We are going on air in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good morning and welcome to the June 17th, 2025 meeting of the City of Miami Beach Historic Preservation Board. I'm John Stewart, and I'm happy to be here today and to turn the meeting over to begin to the head of historic preservation for the City of Miami Beach, Debbie Tackett.
Good morning. First and foremost, I would like to welcome our newest board member, Mitch Novick. Welcome back, I should say, to the Historic Preservation Board. You've served this community well over several decades, and we're delighted to have you here. I don't know if you want to introduce yourself or say a few words.
Thank you, Deborah. I'm Mitch Novick. I'm a 37-year resident. In 1989, I formed my Miami Beach-based company where I restored buildings from the 1930s, 40s, and 50s and managed or continue to manage some of those properties. And previously, I served on this board for 6 years from 2001 to 2007, at which time I moved over to the county's Historic Preservation Board and served until mid-2018. Most notably, I'm especially proud of having served on former Mayor Dermer's Blue Ribbon Panel on the structural integrity of buildings, where we analyzed the cause and effect failure of structural systems. And I'm proud a few of our recommendations had been adopted into city code, such as how do you deal with cases of demolition by neglect of conforming and non-conforming buildings, the presumption of replication, and the critical need for this city to maintain a database of vacant buildings, as those are the most vulnerable to demolition by neglect. Again, it's good to be back here, and thank you for the introduction, Debbie.
You're welcome. I have one announcement this morning before we get started. As you can see, we have 4 board members present. That does constitute a quorum. However, all of the applications on the agenda this morning do require 5 affirmative votes for approval. So all of these applications will be continued to the July 8th meeting for formal action. However, if any of the applicants on the agenda would like to present to the board and obtain feedback, we would welcome that, as well as public comment. All requests for continuances will allow for members of the public to comment on that request for continuance. That being said, I'm going to turn it over to Nick Kalergis for the notice regarding lobbyist registration and swearing in any members of the public wishing to testify today.
Thank you, Debbie, and good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Today's meeting of the Historic Preservation Board will be conducted in a hybrid format, with the board physically present in the commission chambers at Miami Beach City Hall, and applicants, staff, and members of the public appearing either in person or virtually via Zoom. To participate in today's meeting virtually, the public may dial 1-888-475-4499 and enter the webinar ID, which is 817-4834-7488 pound, or log into the Zoom app and enter the webinar ID, which again is 817-4834-7488. Anyone wishing to speak on an item must click the raise hand icon if you're using the Zoom app, or dial *9 if you are participating by phone. If you're appearing on behalf of a business, a corporation, or another person, you need to register as a lobbyist with the City Clerk's office. If you haven't registered yet, you should register before you speak to the board. You don't have to register as a lobbyist if you're speaking only on behalf of yourself and not any other party, or if you're testifying as an expert witness providing only scientific, technical, or other specialized information or testimony in this public meeting, or if you are appearing as a representative of a neighborhood association without any compensation or reimbursement for your appearance, to express support of or opposition to any item. Expert witnesses and representatives of neighborhood associations shall, prior to appearing, disclose in writing to the city clerk their name, address, and the principal on whose behalf they are communicating. If you're an architect, attorney, or employee representing an applicant or an objector, you must register as a lobbyist. These rules apply whether you're appearing in favor of or against an item, or encouraging or arguing against its passage, defeat, modification, or continuance. Lastly, I'd like to swear in any members of the public and staff who will be testifying today. Please raise your right hands. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you'll give in this proceeding is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Nick. The first application on the agenda this morning is HPB 240641. This is 1800 Michigan Avenue. It's an application for a certificate of appropriateness for the total demolition of the existing single-family home and the construction of a new single-family home. I believe the applicant is going to forego a presentation and request a continuance to the July 8th meeting. Staff has no objection to this. Do board members have any question for myself or the applicant?
Any questions? Debbie? No?
Okay, we can open up for public comment. Again, this is HPB 240641. If you're on Zoom, please raise your hand. And again, this is a request for continuance to the July 8th meeting. I see on Zoom John Courtney. Good morning, John.
Good morning. Yeah, this is John Courtney. I live at, sorry, there's a bit of an echo, 1026 18th Street. I just want to ask that before the board continues the 1800 Michigan item, that you might consider providing guidance to the applicant and imploring them to secure their property against further degradation. In their own application, you'll find a certified report from a professional engineer, which found multiple sources of active moisture intrusion, and these were considered the cause of the moisture damage in the home. And yet, since receiving this report over 4 months ago, the applicant has made no effort to patch the active leaks. And I find it hard to give the benefit of the doubt to an owner who knows about major leaks in the roof, but doesn't fix them. And this is also a violation of city code. So I just ask that the applicant stop the ongoing demolition by neglect before they return to face this board. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, John. I see no other members of the public wishing to comment.
All right. Seeing none, and there's nobody here the applicant's not here to respond, or is there? Okay.
Good morning, Emily Balter, Brickardell, Fernandez, Larkin, and Tappanez, opposite 200 South Biscayne Boulevard. Because of the short board today, we're respectfully requesting a continuance to the July meeting. There's a long history with this site, and we would appreciate the opportunity to come before you with a full board. Thank you.
Any board member comment about the public comment or any questions to the applicant? No? Seeing none? Elizabeth?
Yeah, no, I just have a quick question regarding the comment from the person on Zoom. Does the city do anything about that? How do we handle the fact that there is a potential neglect on the property and the safety of the neighboring property?
So I'm aware that there are several code compliance violations for property maintenance for the subject site. I have been working with the applicant, we have, as staff, been urging the applicant to pull permits for repair. There's nothing, even though they have a pending application before this board, there's nothing that would prevent them from pulling building permits for repairing the structure. But to my knowledge, although there's been some activity in terms of lot clearance and cleaning out some overgrown landscaping and trash removal, there has been no building permits applied for.
Mr. Chair.
Yep, go ahead. please, Commissioner.
Deborah, I'm assuming the property is vacant. Would the city, or is it, in your opinion, that to alleviate any concern, a construction fence properly screened be placed along the public right-of-way?
Yes, that is actually a requirement for any vacant property throughout the city to have actually a metal picket fence to secure the property and to secure all of the openings in the property to prevent access by unauthorized individuals. So I believe that is one of the violations that has been issued, failure to obtain the building permit for the required fencing. Again, we're in communication with the applicant and we do urge them to cure all violations and potentially even move forward and try to obtain some building permits for repair of the building, which according to the documents we've received, we think is a good idea.
So is there anything that you can recommend that we as a board do at this time along, just to address what the public comment was, and I'm not sure there is anything, but.
This is a request for a continuance, so
Yes.
there is no order of the board. So we cannot impose any requirements or conditions at this time. Certainly, I think, repeating the concern and the desire to see some actual repair work done, and there could be some temporary measures if in terms of if there's roof issues, temporary measures to prevent moisture intrusion could be a possibility. I would urge them to reach out to the city's building department and discuss what measures could be implemented relatively quickly to secure the building. But again, this would be a recommendation. This is, excuse me, a recommendation from staff. It's certainly something the board could recommend to the applicant at this time.
At this time, in the continuance?
Yeah, as a recommendation.
Yes.
But not as a requirement.
Okay.
One last question. Is the permit, the eventual permit for the new project contingent to paying all the past due fines?
That is determined by the city's special magistrate in terms of the payment of those fines.
So, in other words, fines have accrued?
I would defer to the applicant. I'm not sure what the current status of those violations are.
My understanding is that we do not currently have fines accruing. We do have active cases, and we've timely requested extensions and gone before the special magistrate and obtained additional time.
Is the building secure from the elements, whether that be, you mentioned the roof or windows? Are they exposed to
Boarded.
weather conditions? Okay,
They're boarded.
Okay, so with that, Ray, did you have anything you want to add? No? Can I get a motion to continue with maybe any of the recommendations that staff had, or?
I'll make a motion to continue HPB 24-0641 to the July meeting. And at that point in time, I would expect that the questions that were brought up will be addressed by the applicant.
Hey,
Second?
just let me ask, okay, we have a second, but it does say that the says okay. Never mind.
Okay, all those in favor?
All right.
Okay, this will be heard at the July 8th meeting. Thank you, Emily.
The meeting minutes at some point we have to.
Yes, we did skip the second item, which is the approval of the May 13th, 2025 minutes. Do we have a motion?
I move to approve the minutes. I move to approve the minutes.
Okay,
Deborah, I have an issue as I wasn't
weren't here.
serving at that time.
Can I second if I'm
Because I was
chair?
not in the meeting.
The chairman can second. Mitch, even though you weren't here, you can still vote on the approval of the minutes.
I haven't reviewed them, to put it bluntly.
If you're sitting on the dais, you have to vote yay or nay.
So in this case, because I didn't review
You can cheat off my homework. They're fine.
they're okay?
Yeah.
All right, I'll vote yay.
okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. The next application on the agenda is HPB 240632. This is 1730 Jefferson Avenue. This is an application for a certificate of appropriateness for the partial demolition and renovation of the existing home and accessory buildings, including the construction of attached additions and variances from the required setbacks, lot coverage, unit size, and open space requirements. I don't see the applicant. I don't know if, is the applicant on Zoom? They did reach out to the planning department and expressed a desire to make a presentation today, but I don't see anyone representing the application either on Zoom or in the audience. So I would request that this application be continued to the July 8th meeting so that we have 5 board members present.
Yes.
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 Once are we ready to open for public comment?
Yes.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Okay,
If we have
yes.
nobody here, yeah.
Any members of the public, please come forward.
Hi, how are you doing? My name's Dave, and this is my wife Laura. We are the family that directly abuts the back of the property, to which they are proposing that they build a second story on top of their one-story existing guest house. The one-story existing guest house is, sort of close and within the setback of modern times, and they are looking to put a second story on that. When we had the previous meeting, obviously they required a variance to build out past the 15 feet, which is what's required with a second story. My understanding of the code is not perfect. The board told them to come back with a proposal that met the code, which meant a setback of 15 feet, a minimum on the second story. It appears that what they've actually done is put a habitable roof deck up to the 15 feet, or covered balcony, depending on how you look at it. In addition, they did this very weird thing where they covered up the sliding doors that lead to the outside of the roof deck with the labels bathroom 1 and bathroom 2 to make it a little bit more complicated to see that's what it was. My understanding of the code, which is not perfect, is that you need a 10-foot setback from the outside of the building for a roof deck. And for a covered balcony that's habitable, you actually need to have it with the setback. It has to be 15 feet back, which would require a variance. So we found this as a resolution to their initial problem very weird. We also did not understand why the city did not say they required a variance when it very clearly does. So just as an opener, I actually have I have a screenshot of the diagram here, since the applicant is not here to show it to you.
Okay, thank you. Would anybody like, I know we have the drawings in our packets, and we're not really voting on them. We're only voting on whether to continue it, but I really appreciate your being here. Did you have anything to say as well?
No, I just agree. And
Support
it
and
is
agree.
very misleading how it's labeled because those are not the bathrooms. And so you can't obviously tell. And this would have a very negative impact on our property and the neighborhood. And we have put so much work into our house, and we've made it even more historically accurate in recent renovations, and we're putting more, and we've done everything by code. And so this is pretty challenging situation for us. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for bringing that to our attention and for coming here today. And I think with that, is there any other member of the public interested in speaking?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I was told to be clearer. I'm Roger Goldblatt, 1750 James Avenue, speaking for MDPL. We still have serious concerns about the destruction of the original architectural features, particularly the concrete eyebrows. Despite clear direction from the HPB in its April meeting to preserve the historic facade, the applicant has again proposed demolition and alteration to the defining elements of this protected Art Deco structure. We oppose elevating the eyebrows above their original location, squaring off the rounded Art Deco styling, and replacing concrete elements with aluminum or metal materials. The proposed lighting changes are incompatible with the style of the neighborhood. This is only one of the few remaining significant Art Deco homes in South Beach. And these alterations fundamentally compromise its historic integrity. We believe these design changes should be denied, and the Art Deco facade must be preserved in its original form. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Roger. Are there any comments by the board?
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
we
go
do
ahead.
have
Yes.
two people on Zoom. I did notice that the architect for representing the applicant for the project is on Zoom, Edwin
Okay.
Herrera. Edwin, I didn't see you earlier, but we are discussing 1730 Jefferson Avenue currently. Would you like to address the board?
Yes, my apologies for not being there in person. But sorry, to go back to, we would like the continuance, obviously, to present the application further. But in response to the neighbor in the rear, that was just a text mistake. That isn't, we're not trying to hide any of what we're doing. It just happens to be that on that page, the bathroom number 1 and bathroom number 2 remain in the original label. That's just a text mistake in the presentation. And we really did take the input from not only the comments received by the public, but by the board as well. And we worked together with the planning department to make the adjustments required. But anyway, we'll gladly, go on further to explain on the next meeting and make sure that it's noted that we did take note of all the comments received.
Okay, thank you, Edwin. Our next speaker is Chris Glody.
Hi, everyone. My name is Chris Glody. I am the owner and resident of 1760, which is 3 lots north of this property, and really hit on all of my points, but perhaps a little bit more eloquently. Even though I heard Edwin say that he's worked with staff, you'll note in the staff recommendation that they still are advocating for the preservation of the facade. And while the applicant made adjustments to the facade from the last presentation, it's still not an Art Deco home. It still does not preserve the facade. And this is a historic district. This is a protected home. I'm concerned that we have applicants that don't want an Art Deco home in the historic district. I'm just going to call out what I heard Roger say. They still are trying to change the location of the facades, elevating them. They are squaring the rounded edges of I'm sorry, not the facade. They're elevating the eyebrow. They're squaring the rounded edges of the eyebrow. They're extending the eyebrow. They're changing the material of the eyebrows from concrete to now some perhaps aluminum, siding of some variety, and they're adding can lighting. All of it amounts to eliminating this historic facade. And it is one of, by my count, perhaps 5 Art Deco homes, true Art Deco homes in South Beach. I hope that in the July meeting, the board will vote to preserve this important facade. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Mr. Chair, I see no other members of the public wishing to comment.
Okay, so hearing that public comment, do you have any comments for Debbie or questions or anything you'd like to share? No? Right? No? Elizabeth? No? Debbie, I was just wondering, again, kind of in the same vein as the last, is there anything you recommend that we as a board can do to respond to the public comments, to, you know, clean up that drawing, for example? Is that something you can even ask for in a continuance?
Since this is a request for continuance, I don't think you should request any changes to the plans at this point.
Okay.
I don't necessarily think your comments would be any different from the last meeting. And staff has relayed not only staff's recommendations, but the board's previous recommendations to the applicant. And we will continue to do so if we have the opportunity to discuss prior to the July meeting.
Okay, and just for my information, for example, is when the project's continued and we've had public hearing in the meantime, is there an opportunity for staff to modify their recommendation based upon the public comment? I don't know if it's even an opportunity. I don't know how this works.
Well, I think what I would say to that is the staff's recommendation is based on the written submissions of the applicant. The board can certainly add additional conditions on its order once this does come before you for a formal vote. And I think that would be the time where the board and staff can respond to information presented by the public.
Okay, go ahead.
And can the applicant submit additional drawings between now and the next public hearing?
The applicant would not be able to present any changes between now and July because it's less than 30 days. If they wanted to submit supplementary information, additional renderings that are consistent with the plans that are part of the current record, they could do that. Photographs, any additional supplemental information, but not a different design.
So basically, if any of the comments today may spark their imagination into changing something, we will not see that next meeting. Will be
Nothing substantive could be changed at this point.
Can we make a recommendation that the applicant reach out to neighbors between now and then to kind of see if they can address? Yeah. Okay,
certainly, you could do that. Yes.
The applicant did say that they were going to make some adjustments to that rendering to make it more clear, because they did agree with the neighbors behind that it was a little confusing. So I think that, you know, we should be willing to look at that, even if this is an additional piece of paper that they give us at the next meeting.
I don't know, can that be part of the motion, or is that not?
No, I wouldn't include that as part of the motion. But I think, you know, your comments are, the applicant is online and he is hearing your comments.
Okay. Well, perhaps if I can hear a motion to continue with the encouragement of the applicant to speak to the neighbors.
I'll make that motion to continue.
Okay.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right. Application is continued. The next two applications are companion applications, so I will read them both into the record. We have HPB 250647. This is 1020 Pennsylvania Avenue. This is an application for and after the fact demolition of the previously existing buildings on the site. The applicant is requesting to modify a condition in the previously issued order. And the second application is HPB 24-0618. Again, this is 1020 Pennsylvania. This is an application requesting a certificate of appropriateness for the construction of a multifamily residential building on a vacant lot and one or more waivers. If the applicant is either in the audience or on Zoom, if you're on Zoom, please raise your hand. Okay, Mr. Chair, I don't see the applicant. So on behalf of the applicant, staff would ask that both of these applications be continued to the July 8th meeting. And you can open public
Okay.
comment.
Yes, can we,
So moved.
well, can we open it to public comment first and then? Okay.
Okay, any members of the public wishing to comment, please come forward or raise your hand if you're on Zoom.
Hi, it's Roger Goldblatt again. I just, 1750 James Avenue from MDPL. I just want to reiterate our first sentence. We oppose the request to delete the condition limiting the square footage of any new development on this site. It just sets a very bad precedent, we feel, for older Art Deco buildings. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Nobody else? All right, with that, can I get a motion to continue?
Okay, I'll make a motion to continue this item till next month.
Second?
Is that both of the applications?
Both
Okay,
applications.
so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, application will be heard on July 8th. The next request for continuance is HPB 250650. This is 1826 Collins Avenue. This is an application for a certificate of, excuse me, I'm sorry. Application for a certificate of appropriateness for the total demolition of the existing building. I'm not sure if anyone representing the applicant is present and would like to address the board, but staff is requesting this be continued to the July 8th meeting so that we have 5 board members present.
Okay, thank you. Ray?
I have a question for staff. This building was originally built, I believe, to alleviate parking impact fees for the Shelbourne. And this robotic garage never functioned properly, but I believe that there was some concessions given to the Shelbourne for building the parking for this. And now that we want to talk about tearing it down, what does that leave with the Shelbourne now with their hotel and everything else for parking impact fees? I mean, they're not using this garage, but the garage was originally built for that purpose.
So to my knowledge, the Shelbourne does not have a parking requirement. So it may have, the original proposal was for the robotic parking garage and a commercial space. I don't believe that and another issue with this property is the garage / commercial space never functioned. It was a robotic parking garage, and since its construction, it has never been operational. So there is no active mechanical parking happening on the site, and there has never been. The commercial space, there was a commercial space, but I don't believe that's in operation currently either. So to my knowledge, and I can look into this, Ray, and bring you back some additional information at the next hearing, but to my knowledge, none of the parking was required parking for the Shelbourne Hotel. As a historic property in the architectural district, all of the existing construction that's historic or that was constructed prior to 1993 does not have a parking requirement. If there were later additions made to the building that did require a parking requirement, then they would have the option of either providing that parking within 1,200 feet of their site or paying into the parking impact fee program. So I can look into the history of that property and see if they had required parking at this 1826 site. If they did, it never functioned. So it was never actual parking anyways, but we'll look into that.
Just because, I believe that it was built to satisfy a parking need for some building, whether it was a Shelbourne or something else. That property was not built just because, oh, let's have a robotic garage. I think it had a reason to be built, and yes, it never functioned, and yes, it was probably never replaced by other parking. But now that we're looking at tearing the building down, I'd like to know more about it. Because obviously there's been a lot of contention about tearing that building down.
And we could bring that information back to you at the July
And the other
meeting.
thing that we all got was the notification about the wall between that and 1800 being a common wall or something like that. If you could come back with some information on that, that would be great. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ray. And
Public comment?
yes, that's where we're going. Public comment. Debbie, is there any?
Anyone on Zoom, raise your hand. Anyone in the audience, please come forward. Okay, Mr. Chair, I do not see any members of the public wishing to comment.
Okay. Is there a motion or any comment, first of all, on the board? Ray? Elizabeth? Okay. Mitch?
I'll make the motion to continue this item until next month. 1826 Collins.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Our final application this morning is HPB 250651. This is 7305 Collins Avenue. This is an application for a certificate of appropriateness for exterior modifications, including but not limited to a new shade structure, an outdoor bar counter, and a mural, and variance to exceed the hours of operation for an outdoor bar counter. Staff has no objection to this request. I'm not sure if the applicant is online. If you are, please raise your hand, but I don't see them. So on
Okay.
behalf of the applicant, staff would request this be moved to the July 8th meeting.
Okay. And seeing no applicant in the room, then we'll open it to public comment. No public comment. Then any board comment?
My comment would be, has the fire department looked at the use, I mean, they have this tiki hut thing, does it meet some sort of fire code? I think we need to know that before we could really be voting on this. So if we don't know between now and next time, if we could find that out.
Yeah, and I'll just point out that this does require a building permit, and the fire department will need to review and approve the structure in accordance with the fire prevention code. So I don't know if that has occurred yet, but we can give you that information.
Yeah, I'd like it to occur before we vote on it.
Well,
honestly.
right, but I don't know if the fire department review has occurred. They have submitted for the review.
Okay.
And I can, let you know. But yes, the fire department approval is required to legalize the structure. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other comment? No? Okay. Do I have a motion to continue?
I'll make a motion to continue 7305 Collins until next month.
Mr. Chair, if I could
Yes, please.
we do have a member of the public that just raised their hand.
Okay.
Would that
Yeah,
be
for sure.
okay? I see Ross, S25.
Yes. Hi, Ross Kelson, 7330 Ocean Terrace in the building that overlooks Cezone Cafe. Just the public comment, I do definitely have an opinion about this, but I will wait till the July meeting. But the question is whether the city has looked at the increased amount of traffic that would be would result from the expanded services that Cezone is offering for walk up. I've of course watched this, and we are affected, and our building is affected. Our ingress and egress from the building is affected by Sazone's traffic, and they already have this outdoor cafe, and people are constantly looping around from the new park area. They're backing up, they're looping around, and they're getting their cafecito and their coffee in the morning, and it often is blocking the traffic and slowing it down. Well, with an increased amount of services, has the city looked at the impact of the traffic and made any accommodations? We also are having a major planned a major $20 million building in the parking lot that's catty corner from the Sazone Cafe, and that's going to also increase traffic. So the congestion, has the city looked at any effects of increased congestion of this service? And the Banshell is, by the way, across the street. So it really creates a large problem with all of these venues and additional points of sources of traffic.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I see no other members of the public wishing to comment.
All right, thank you very much, Ross, for that comment. And with that, we have a motion to continue, and we're just waiting for a second.
I second.
All right.
Okay, all those in favor?
All right.
Okay, thank you. So all of these applications will be heard at the July 8th meeting. We'll organize the agenda, so all of these applications will be heard first in July.
And
with that, staff has nothing additional unless.
Can you just tell us a little bit more about the July meeting, since it's less than 30 days away? You might have, just in terms of, we'll have a number of new applications as well, or is July?
We do have several. It wasn't a very large agenda. We have several applications in July, but the hope is that we get through all of the June and July applications on July 8th. If we don't, we could look at potentially scheduling an August meeting. We could discuss that at the July meeting, but I'm cautiously optimistic that we will be very efficient and be able to catch up on all these applications in July. Yeah.
Would you like to keep this, or we keep this?
Yeah, I think, the best would be if you can keep all of the applications that were continued today and bring them back for the July meeting.
Okay, and just for a point of information, is there a time limit to this meeting? Is that because I know other meetings in other cities and counties go very long.
Yeah, for staff protocol, and it's not just me here.
Yeah,
It takes a village to run these meetings. I think the desire would be to conclude the meeting no later than 4 p.m. So that gives us the whole day, and I'm feeling good.
It's up to you, Joe.
Feeling good.
Yeah,
We're gonna make it
up to
work,
you
guys.
Just keep our lunch selections.
Sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Yeah.